All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to break down one of the absolute cornerstones of the cloud, Azure Storage. And yeah, it might sound like just a simple filing cabinet, but trust me, the way it's designed is, well, it's incredibly clever. So let's get right into it.
I mean, just stop and think about it for a second. Every photo you take, every document you write, every video you watch, where does all that stuff actually go? It has to live somewhere, right? It can't just float around in the ether. And that is the core challenge right there. See, we don't just need a bigger digital attic to dump all our files. We need a home for our data that isn't just big, but also smart. We need a system that can grow with us, protect our data like a fortress, and manage it intelligently. And this is exactly the problem Azure Storage was built to solve.
Okay, so to really get our heads around how this all works, we're going to use one simple, powerful analogy throughout this whole explainer. And I promise it's going to make everything click. Just think of Azure Storage as a massive, super secure digital building.
Okay, so here's the official kind of technical definition. When you set up storage in Azure, the very first thing you do is create a storage account. This is the absolute foundation for everything else you're going to do.
But you know what? Let's just ditch the jargon for a minute. That storage account we just mentioned, that is our secure building. It's the container, it's our plot of land in the Azure cloud where all of our data is going to live. Everything, and I mean everything, happens inside this one building.
And this is where it gets really cool. This building isn't just one giant empty room. No way. It's organized into specialized departments, each for a different kind of job. Now, the two you'll probably use the most are blobs. Just think of that as a gigantic warehouse for any kind of file. Photos, videos, backups, stuff that doesn't need a specific structure. And files, which works exactly like the shared network drive you'd find in any office.
So the big question is, how do you decide which department to put your data in? Well, that choice between the warehouse and the office share is probably the most common decision you're going to have to make.
And the difference is actually pretty straightforward. If you've got massive amounts of raw, unstructured data, we're talking videos, high-res images, backups, you throw it in the Blob warehouse. It's built for that kind of massive scale. But let's say you have an older application that expects to see a normal network drive. Well, that's where Azure Files comes in. It lets you just lift and shift that application to the cloud without having to rewrite a single line of code.
All right, so we've got our data in the right department. The next, and maybe most important question is, how safe is it? This is where Azure's layers of security really start to shine.
I mean, it's a scary thought, isn't it? A fire, a flood, some kind of major power failure. If all your data only exists in one single physical place, it is incredibly vulnerable. So how does Azure protect you from a total disaster like that?
It's actually pretty simple. It makes copies automatically. This whole process is called replication. The basic level, LRS, keeps 3 copies of your data safely inside one data center. A step up from that is ZRS, which spreads those 3 copies across different data centers, but all in the same city. And then for the ultimate protection, there's GRS. This copies your data to a completely different region, hundreds of miles away, protecting you from even a massive regional catastrophe.
Now, disaster recovery is one thing, but what about day-to-day access? You definitely don't want to be handing out the master keys to your entire building. And for that, Azure has this really clever tool called a shared access signature, or you'll hear it called a SAS token.
Okay, think of it like this. Let's say you need to let a repair person into one specific room in your building for just 1 hour. You're not going to give them your master key, right? Of course not. You'd give them a temporary guest pass that only opens that one door and automatically expires in 60 minutes. A SAS token is the digital version of that exact same idea. It is an incredibly secure way to share just a single file without compromising anything else.
And for the absolute highest level of data protection, especially when you're dealing with legal or regulatory compliance, there's something called immutable storage. This is like putting a document in a bank vault with a time lock on it. Once it's set, that data cannot be changed or deleted by anyone, and that includes you until that timer runs out. It's serious stuff.
Okay, so security is obviously huge, but it's only half the story. The other critical factor for everyone is cost. Storing massive amounts of data can get really expensive if you're not smart about it. And this is where the smart part really comes in. It's all about a trade-off. Azure lets you classify your data based on how often you actually need to touch it. So, data you access every single day, that lives in the hot tier. It costs a little more to store, but it's super cheap to access. On the flip side, data you might need once a year, like a long-term backup, that goes to the archive tier. It costs next to nothing to store, but you'll pay a bit more if you ever need to retrieve it. And here's the best part.
You don't even have to manage this yourself. You can set up a simple rule that says something like, hey, after 30 days of not being touched, move this file from hot to cool, and after 180 days, move it down to archive. It is a total set it and forget it way to constantly keep your costs optimized. So, when you start to put all these pieces together, the different services, the replication for safety, the detailed security, the smart cost tiers, you start to see the bigger picture. We're not just talking about a passive digital box here. This is an active, intelligent system designed to manage your data.
So, let's wrap this up by going back to our analogy one last time. All your data lives in a super secure building. That's your storage account. Inside that building, you've got specialized departments for different kinds of data, like blobs and files. The whole place is protected by multiple locks and copies to keep everything safe, like replication and SAS tokens. And finally, it has a smart pricing system, so you only pay for what you actually use.
And that really leaves us with one final important thought. In a world where we are creating data at an absolutely explosive rate, just having enough space isn't the goal anymore. The real question you have to ask is this: is the home you've built for your data just big, or is it also smart?
So in this lab, we'll go through manage Azure Storage. So if I select that one, so there are actually, if you see here, let me expand that one. We're going to do three tasks. First task will be create and configure a storage account. Second task will be create and configure secure Blob container. And third task will be create and configure Azure File storage. So let's start the lab. First, you need to connect to Azure console. Here I have already connected. Now search for storage account. Click that storage account. Click create. Now here the basic step. Here you see that the first resource group is there. Give a storage account name. So give a unique name. So I can just keep like storage account 0326. Make it unique. Region is East US, and prefer the storage type. Just default one is your below storage. Now here performance is under standard. Also there's a premium options, but for in our case lab purpose it's selected standard. And redundancy, there are different types of redundancy. I'm just selecting geo redundant storage. So the failover capability in a secondary region for these options. Then go to next. So under advanced tab, you can see all the options available under security, hierarchical namespace, access protocol. So I'm just taking all the defaults. Click next. So here under public access, public network access, we are going to disable that one. So select disable, which will ultimately restrict inbound access while it will allow to outbound access. Click next. Under the data protection tab, you see that there is a 7 days retain for the deleted one, that is known as soft delete. We can consider the default option, then click next. Here under encryption, we just accept all the defaults. There is a different encryption option like Microsoft managed key or customer managed key. Tags, we are not adding any tags for this lab purpose. Click review and create. When that validation done, click create. So storage account is deployed here. You can go to resource from here, go to resource from there. So select that one. can review different settings. So if you see here overview section, there are different settings that you can see. Properties, monitoring capabilities, recommendation, tutorials. So now if you look here, then you can see that this storage account can be used for Blob service, file service, queue service, and table service. So now let's go on the left side, the option security plus networking blade. Expand that one, select that networking, just to make sure that public act network is disabled, that we have done. So we can see that public network is disabled. Now if we select the manage and public network access, we can make that enable, and from where we can select like enable from selected networks, and in the IPv4 address can select that like client IPv4 address 91. So select that one, and all others selecting as default, then select the F, and then go under data management section, see the redundancy settings. So you can see there is a primary and secondary data center, East US and West US. You can see that one here. So data center location wise. Now under data management blade, go to lifecycle management, and we are going to add a rule there. So select add a rule and give a rule name like here we are giving a name like move to call. Then there's a rule scope, you can see Blob type, you can see Blob subtypes, you can see click next. Add a rule page, here is there's an option like when Blob was last modified. Based on that we can add a rule. So for example, if we want that after 30 days, that if that is modified up did not modify for last 30 days, then it will move to like cool storage. And we can keep continue, like you can add condition, then we can add like if like last modified 90 days, then we can move to cold storage, next one. Then we can put it something like you can add ongoing condition, if that is 365 days, we can move to archive storage. So let's off that one, so that click on add. So you can see that configuration when it's done, you can see that option is available here. That it will automatically moved based on the last date. It has been modified. There it will go there. So if you go there, you can see the value, and you can update if you want. You can click here update based on that your requirements. You can just remove. Okay, now we are going to create and configure a secure Blob storage. So for that, under from here, minimize that one. Then here under data storage section, select container. Here click on add container, and let's give a container name. Give a container name is data, and anonymous access is private, which is default. Hold that one. Then here is coming encryption escape, like scope. So you can select that one, which level that option will be. So just click on create. So when that has been created, that ellipsis button option, you select that one, and here is the option different properties that you can set that up. So for now, go with the access policy. And there is a policy that we can, there is stored access policy, there is also immutable below storage policy. So in the immutable section, we are going to add a policy. So select add policy, and that is the policy type. So we are going to select time-based retention, and then set a time like 180 days for this immutable setup, and click on save. So now that policy has been set up here. Now if we go to data container, click on here upload, and upload a file, below file. So select that one, the download, and you see that advanced section, expand that one, and here you can see the below types, the block below, page below, and append block, and block size is 4 MIB, access tier is hot. There is also good that different tier, you know, that one, hot, cold archive. And here is the option also for like if we want like underneath that subfolder, we can do that one. So let's select security test, and there is the index tag and also encryption scope. So we are just using the default one, then click on upload. Now you see that there is a new folder, security test, and if you go there, you can see that there is a image there, that file has been uploaded there. Now I can select, I can download, if I go there, then it will give me the option, but at the same time you can see that on the right side there is an ellipsis option there, so I can download, delete. You can see those properties there, so I can download, delete, change tier, different options. So now if is that there is an option like to access this one, so select this copy URL, and let's open it in private window, try to see that file, and I can see that this is like not accessible, and this is acceptable, like expected behavior, since the container that we created has the public access label is set to private, so no access there. Now let's go back and configure the like limited access here for now. So if you select that ellipsis button, you can see that there is a SAS option is there, that generate SAS, so which is like in the shared access signature. So if you click that one, so you can see those options like and finally if you go just down below, you will see that there is an option like generate SAS token and URL. So click that one, and you can see that there is a below SAS URL. So if I copy that one and open a new session incognito window, and we can see that image here. So that file I can see now. So that's done. Now let's go through with a file share. So we are going to create a Azure file share, and we'll use storage browser to manage that file share now. So for that, let's go back to data storage section. Okay, go to storage account, and here under file storage, this is that file. Under data storage, you see that file share. So click that one, and then click file share, and here give a file share name, and then access star option has got like transaction optimized. So there are different options like hot, cold, or premium available. So default one is fine in our case. Then move to next backup tab. So here you see that backup is enabled, but for our lab purpose we do not need to take a backup, so I can deselect that one. And then click review and create. Validation pass, so select on create. So file share has been created, so close this one. Now let's go back to storage center. And open that storage browser. So storage browser actually give us option in a like to let's quickly view all the storage services underneath that. So it's quickly view from here. We can do that one. And from the file share, in the options here, if you select that one, and we can see that the share one directory is present. So select that directory, and if we go there, there is an option that we can do add additional directory here, which actually create options to create additional directory. But for now, let's upload and upload a file here. Then click upload. So you can see file has been uploaded, and we can see the file here. If we download, you can see that file. So now let's go restrict network access to the storage account level. So for that, search for like here VNet or virtual network. So create a separate virtual network. Click on create. Give a virtual network name. We are just considering all the default for now for this lab perspective. So click on review and create. Click on create. So VNet has been created. Now go to resource. In the settings section, if you expand that one, so there is option, different options they are available, but we are going for service endpoint. Select that service endpoint blade and click on add. And here under service drop down, select for the Microsoft storage that we are going to set that up. And service endpoint policies that Gito selected, there are different options. We are not going to select that one, but subnet. Inside subnet, the subnet we have created that is default one, and click on add. Now let's go back to storage account. So here you can see. Okay, now let's go back to storage account. And here under security and networking section, expand that, click networking. Is that public network access? So here select on manage, and when you manage down below under virtual network, select add a virtual network. So there is two options available. In our case, we have already created that one, so we just select that add existing virtual network and select that VNet. And the default subnet underneath that VNet, and then click add. Now under IPv4 address section, now deletes mine one which I selected last time. So now in that case, all the traffic should only come from the virtual network based on this. So click on save. So the storage account now only be accessed from the virtual network that we have created. So when that is done, let's go back to VNet. Now let's go back to storage account, and if you go to storage browser, now go to that file share, and if I go to my share, now you see that data emissions. Last time I could see that file share, but this time I have got a message that not authorized to perform these operations. So I'm not connected from the virtual network, so therefore I'm not allowed to access that image anymore. So that's it for this lab in relate to manage Azure storage. If you have any questions, please put into comment box. Otherwise, see you in next lab. Please subscribe and join next one.